Gotta go through immigration. You're gonna need your passport. Let's get through here.
I don't know. I left them somewhere.
Oh my God.
What are we doing now?
I don't know, Jeff.
My ex stayed with me for the week.
Did you have sex?
We had sex all the time, the whole time, multiple times a day, every day.
So Molly has lost her passport and Rick has lost his morals. The guy's a hypocrite. He's accusing Trisha of cheating, while all the while it's him that's the cheat. It's funny, Forrest and Sheena have waited 7 years and Rick can't even wait 5 days. Still, before we get to all of that mess, let's kick off proceedings with Forrest, who's now just hours away from finally meeting Sheena.
Ooh, that's shrimp. Look at that. Good stuff. Oh, Sheena and I get good airline food like this, but then you take a flight back home.
Yeah, I'm not sure that those words, good and airline food, have come out of too many people's mouths in the same sentence. But I'm glad that Forrest is enjoying his travels. Now, from the sounds of things, he still has no intention of going home without Sheena, despite what his mum says. That's something you best believe we are going to know all about soon enough, and I can guarantee she won't be happy. But in the meantime, Sheena is excitedly getting ready to greet them at the airport.
Forrest is arriving today with his parents, and I feel, wow, like super happy and excited.
I'm on my way to the airport now.
Now, Sheena explains that she is also bringing her baggage to the airport because they're all going to be going back to an apartment that they've rented where they can all stay together. Now, that does raise the question, who paid for that? Remember, Forrest isn't working, Sheena is. So is she the one paying for everything? Or are Forrest's parents contributing at least? She doesn't clarify. But on that topic of Forrest's parents, Sheena admits that she is nervous about meeting Forrest's mum for the first time. Remember, Molly has been sending Sheena angry and threatening text messages after discovering that Sheena shared some of her money with her family. Yeah, let me repeat that again. Shared some of her own money with her family. How dare she? Crime of the century over here. But rather than dwelling on Molly and what might come of that, Sheena is instead trying to focus on the excitement of finally meeting her boyfriend.
I'm trying to get rid of my nervousness, especially meeting the first time with the love of your life. It's once in a lifetime, so why not enjoy with it?
Sheena really does seem like a sweet lady, doesn't she? I really hope she knows what she's getting herself in for with Forrest and in particular with Molly. Hopefully this doesn't all backfire and leave her heartbroken. Still, as she arrives at the airport and eagerly anticipates their first embrace, at exactly the same time, Forrest and his family are getting off the plane. Forrest is also equally excited, but there's just one tiny little problem. Molly has lost her passport.
Gotta go through immigration. You're gonna need your passport. Let's get through here.
I don't know. I left them somewhere.
Oh my God.
What are we doing now?
I don't know, Jeff.
Now, while there is a tiny part of me that wonders whether Molly did that deliberately to try and sabotage this meeting, I think on this occasion I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. Why on earth would she travel all this way, spend all this money, spend all these hours on an airplane, only to mess things up at the finish line? It doesn't quite make sense, does it? And in actual fact, what's happened is she's left it on the airplane. So after those last minute nerves and a slight hiccup, with her passport found and in hand, they can now finally get the heck out of there.
My mom lost her passport, left it on the airplane, but we found it, got it figured out.
You know what's funny? You know how it was presented to us that Molly and Dev were going there to support and be there for Forrest? Well, everything that we've seen so far has been Forrest supporting his mum and stepdad. He's the one that's taking charge and making sure that things go smoothly. Maybe that's quite representative and symbolic of who the actual adult in this relationship really is. Molly might think that she knows best, but I'm not convinced that she does. Take for example how worked up she gets as Forrest goes to the bathroom to freshen up. Molly begins to rile herself up ahead of the meeting with Sheena.
I think that I have these ideas of what I want to say because the emotions get there, the feelings get there.
Settle down, Molly, settle down.
Dev might not say much, but every time we have heard him speak, it seems to be words of wisdom directed at Molly, aimed at trying to get her to calm down or see things from Sheena's perspective. Like, you get the impression Dev is very much the yin to Molly's yang. Now, Molly, of course, is furious with Sheena because, as we saw in the last episode, Sheena had once again, for the third time apparently, given her own money that she'd earned, to her family rather than saving up for her future with Forrest. Like, it wasn't even a huge life-changing sum, it was only about $1,000. But nonetheless, Molly is determined to confront Sheena about this, and Forrest knows that. In fact, the prospect of what his mum might do or say seems to actually be weighing quite heavily on Forrest. Like, he's in the bathroom giving himself a pep talk.
Everything's gonna be at peace. You got this. My mom did not take kindly to Sheena lying about the money again. I'm hoping that my mom will not fight with Sheena.
All that Forrest wants is for this moment to be happy and peaceful. It's a moment that he's waited for 7 years for. Heck, even longer if you consider he's never had a kiss before, and this could finally be the day where that happens as well. So, after a final once-over by his mum, the moment finally arrives. It's now time for Forrest to have his iconic 90 Day Fiancé airport scene with his girlfriend. This moment is just about the two of them. Thankfully, Molly and Dev step aside and let them have the moment for themselves. They're finally in each other's arms after 7 long years of watching each other on camera feeds or video calls. Like, the moment leaves both of them overwhelmed but incredibly happy. And when they all regain their composure, Forrest has a very important question for Sheena.
Sheena, can I give you a kiss?
Sure.
It's very special, and the kiss, according to Forrest, did live up to his expectations. Like, all of this, seeing how much it meant to both of them, seems to also have a profound effect on Molly. It melts her heart. Both she and Dev, watching on from afar, are moved to tears, and when Sheena and Molly finally meet each other and embrace, it is certainly awkward, but Sheena immediately confronts the elephant in the room. She desperately wants to make peace and ensure that there's no bad blood between them.
I humbly apologize for everything that has happened.
Thank you for apologizing, but let's make this a happy moment, all right?
Yes,
Because we're going to be, today is a happy day.
Yeah, I think the key word in that sentence is today. Molly might not want to ruin the mood for today, but that's not to mean things are forgiven and forgotten. They're not. They will be brought up again at some point. It's only a matter of time before things get very tense, especially as they're all going to be living under the same roof. So while they all leave the airport happy and united for the time being, as the trailer for next week's episode shows, things aren't going to stay that way for too long.
Did you guys do the old knock it?
You're pushing too far. It's in the right time or place.
Yeah.
Yeah, judging by her face, Molly really doesn't like Forrest calling her out for being inappropriate. Like, you get the sense that she is gonna have a very difficult time adjusting to her little boy prioritising and sticking up for another woman over her. Something tells me she's not gonna deal with that too well. Things are gonna blow up very soon. And on that note, speaking of things blowing up, it's only a matter of time before secrets come to light and everything blows up for Rick and Trisha too. So we pick up with them and their story the morning after Rick has arrived in Madagascar. Last night was the very first night that they ever spent together, and by the sounds of things, it went well.
I was really tired from what we did.
So was it everything you expected it to be?
Even more.
Trisha admits that Rick's bedroom prowess left her really surprised. For a guy so much older than me, she says, and remember, Rick is more than double Trisha's age. I wasn't expecting that he'd have so much stamina and energy, she tells us. But I don't know why that came as such a shock to her. I mean, quite aside from the fact that Rick clearly goes to the gym quite a lot, she should also know that he has plenty of experience in the bedroom. The guy does, after all, have 5 kids, 3 grown adults and 2 young toddlers. He's clearly very active in that department, which is something we're going to talk about shortly. Now, as for Rick and how he's feeling this morning, he's in a lot better spirits since meeting Trisha. Remember, prior to coming to Madagascar, he was worried. He had reservations about the strength of their relationship. You see, ironically, he believes that Trisha is lying to him. Why? What's causing his suspicion, aside from the fact that it takes one to know one? Well, apparently his suspicions come from the fact that a few weeks back, Trisha apparently for 5 days stopped communicating with him. Or at least more accurately, reduced how much she was communicating with him. She was responding to his text messages with one-word answers and not answering his calls. Rick, as a result, is now convinced that she cheated on him during that time. So while he vows that he is going to confront her and get to the bottom of that today, for right now at least, they're just enjoying being in each other's company.
If it were up to me, I'd just stay at the hotel all day. But this is our first day in Madagascar together, and Trish wants to take me to explore her city.
Now, the first stop on their tour is the local market. Trisha wants to show Rick some of the local produce that's available to try, and looking like he's the kind of guy that enjoys protein, it comes as a bit of a shock to her, and just as much of a shock to him, to see all the various offcuts of meat that they have available. Things like brain, feet, stomach lining, like you name it, it's for sale, and none of it is actually refrigerated. It reminds me a lot of Danielle and Johan. Remember just how disgusted Danielle was at Johan's butcher's shop? Yeah, it's a lot like that, only Rick is able to control his disgust a lot better than Danielle ever was. Which actually reminds me, have you seen the update video I made about Danielle and Johan from a few weeks ago? My gosh, if you thought that their situation was bad on the show, believe me, it's got even worse since we last saw them. Much, much worse. I'll leave a link to that video so you can check it out if you haven't already at the end of this one, and also in the description below. But getting back to Rick and Trisha, all of this raw meat isn't exactly creating the romantic vibe that Rick was hoping for.
I'm feeling like Trish deceived me. I mean, this is our first date.
All this raw meat is gonna mess up the sexy vibes we had going this morning.
Yeah, I get it. Cow hooves and brains aren't exactly screaming romance. But isn't it interesting how quickly Rick is the one claiming Trish deceived him? Honestly, the hypocrisy of the guy. Now, we're gonna get to that and what a sleazebag he is in a second. But after the meat market, thankfully their next destination is a lot more romantic. There's a fantastic view for a start, there's also street musicians, and it even gives them the opportunity to both dance. Have a lot of fun. Rick gets to show off his dancing skills. Remember, he's actually a tap dance teacher back in the States. And Trisha shows off her skills too. Everything Rick sees of her impresses him. He says he's falling in love with her. But he also realises he doesn't really know her all that well. Yes, they've been in a long-distance relationship, a virtual relationship for 6 months. But there's a lot of things that they don't know about each other. So, realising that they need to have a frank discussion, the pair take a seat and Rick wants to quiz Trisha about exactly what happened over that week, the 5 days, where she wasn't communicating properly with him. Be honest, he says to her. Tell me everything.
I promise I will tell you everything, but promise me that she won't get mad.
Yeah, that doesn't exactly fill you with too much hope, does it? That's not what anyone wants to hear before getting into a deep discussion. But what Trish says next absolutely isn't what I or Rick clearly was expecting. She explains that in the course of those 5 days, her ex-boyfriend got robbed. He apparently blamed her for being an accomplice in the robbery. And then at the same time that was going on, her brother hit someone whilst driving her scooter. the person he hit was hospitalised, which meant she then had to deal with the fallout of that victim's injuries.
We did a lot of process like going for the radiographic and the guy at the hospital, we paying for his food, paying for everything.
I had a lot going on, she explains. I was super busy and super stressed out. Yeah, that sounds like the understatement of the year, doesn't it? It sounds like a wild 5 days. But, she goes on to say, when I did have time to talk, I didn't want to talk anyway. I didn't want to offload on you and burden you with all of my drama and my problems. I was worried that telling you all of this would put you off me. I wanted to deal with my problems myself because telling you a story like that, you might have thought that I was giving you a sob story just to try and get money from you and scam you, she says to Rick.
It's scary to tell all my problems. Maybe just say, that's not true, I don't believe, maybe she just wants money.
Yeah, I mean, I can completely understand why she was so worried sharing that story. It's such a wild story, a story with her at the centre of it as a victim, all of this happening outside of her control, that it could very well sound like a tale of woes spun up by a scammer in an attempt to scam money out of a victim. She maintains that I was always going to tell you, but I felt it would be better to explain this face to face, not over the phone. So with Rick accepting her version of events and with that now clearing things up, surely they can now put those 5 days behind them, right? Right? Well, not exactly.
Here she is going through all these things, and instead of being there for her, I made the biggest mistake of my life.
What did you do?
Yeah, that's right. Rick is a hypocrite. Turns out he's been hiding a few secrets of his own. Secrets that, now that we know what Trisha was really up to, are far, far worse than anything that she did to him. So what is it that he did? Well, remember this clip from episode 1? Turns out Trisha's trust was completely misplaced.
I trust him so much, like he's a faithful guy. He's totally different from my ex.
I trust him so much, she says. He's a faithful guy. Yeah, it just goes to show that these two really don't know each other well at all, do they? Because Rick certainly isn't faithful. You see, in the space of 5 days, just 5 days where Rick was butthurt that she wasn't immediately texting him back or answering his calls, he decided to reach back out to his ex. This ex apparently lives in Colombia. And even though those 5 days elapsed and Trish was then speaking to him regularly again, Rick made the decision to fly to Colombia like an absolute douche to be with his ex. All, of course, behind Trisha's back.
My ex stayed with me for the week.
Did you have sex?
We had sex all the time, the whole time, multiple times a day, every day.
Wow, even the way he laughs as he says it. I mean, the guy is disgusting. He's a liar. It's ironic, isn't it? For all of his accusations that Trish was the one cheating on him, the truth is, it was the other way around. Now, he says he feels bad, he knows and acknowledges that he needs to tell Trisha, but frankly, I would have thought the best time to tell her would have been before he arrived, or heck, if he was absolutely determined to do it face to face, perhaps before he slept with her last night. This is now likely to completely devastate Trisha when he does eventually come clean. Everything she thinks she knows about this guy is completely wrong. What a relationship, hey? Like, they may have only been together for a matter of hours in person, but something tells me when he does eventually come clean, this might all be over just as quickly as it began.